Welcome to the Downer Difference, the podcast where we explore the stories and the people behind Downer's success. Through our discussions, we'll uncover how our high-performance culture drives outcomes, how we deliver for our customers, and support each other to enable communities to thrive. My name is Mary Donohoe, and I'm here in the studio with my co-host, Hélène Turi.
The title of our episode today is Driving Culture Change with Toolbox and Rituals. And we'll welcome Jarred Rowland, Senior Project Manager in Rail and Transit System.
Welcome to the Downer Difference podcast. I'm in the studio today with Hélène Turi and Jarred Rowland. Thank you very much for joining us, Jarred. Can you tell us a little bit about your role at Downer?
Sure. So I've been with Downer since 2007, working in RTS predominantly in that time. Currently, I'm a Senior Project Manager in Victoria. I was looking after the Rolling Stock Additional Works project. We're currently transitioning into a new project, given Yarra Trams has been transitioned through to Transdev John Holland from Keolis Downer.
Earlier this year, Downer launched the Downer Difference, our new culture. And congratulations, because you've been a finalist on our Standing for Each Other award, which is one of the 3 focus areas of the culture. So what led to that recognition? What happened? What have you done?
The East Preston site had challenges early on. One of the challenges was the amount of incidents and injuries that we were having. In a 12-month period, we had 40 first aid injuries, 1 LTI and 1 MTI. So it was quite significant. We thought the rate in which we were injuring people. So what we'd done was got the leadership team together and done some analysis on what type of injuries that we were having, and linking them to I suppose the trade and the mechanism of injury. One of the patterns that we continued to see was that when we did injure someone, during the investigation, someone would have identified that they were aware of this hazard and had either felt that they didn't have the appropriate place or person to report it to, or they had reported it to someone, but it wasn't documented and captured. So what we've done, we had a workshop with our HSE team. What we looked through was, first of all, how can we better give the employees tools to be able to report these hazards? So we've done that by having hazard reporting stations at basically each production board.
Like physical stations?
Physical stations, and talking to that twice a day. So going through and actually looking at what the problem was. We then put a process in place that it was a stop work unless a containment was put into place. So that was to contain the hazard and allow us to keep working. And then there was a countermeasure that would be put on after it. And
the employees were feeling safe to raise their hand and say, okay, we have to stop working now because we've identified something.
They were.
Yeah.
So secondly, once we got that information, what we had to do was make sure that we were closing it out within a timely manner. So that led to weekly management reviews to basically sign off on the countermeasure, or if funding was required to be able to close that off. And then we went through a feedback loop where we had we implemented monthly town halls. In that town hall, along with a whole raft of other stuff, was the feedback loop where the management team would get up and explain where we are with the countermeasures, whether we've hit the date we committed to say that we're going to get them done, or whether or why we were late and what we're doing to basically recover that. And then we set up a station that had the feedback. So if someone missed the town hall, they could find it. So going on from that, we actually went one step further and put in a reward and recognition piece where we were rewarding people for I suppose closing out hazards or identifying and closing them out. What we've seen year on year is basically a huge upward spike in hazards being raised and a massive downwards trend in.
So it's almost like incidents. Preventive.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's all around preventative rather than reacting after the incident has happened. I haven't got the data for the last 12 months, but it would be under 10 first aid cases compared to 40 where we were at. So a significant improvement.
That's amazing. And Has this approach been used in other sites? Are you aware of that? Or
I know we have been to other sites to roll out similar, I suppose, strategies to manage it. I know Pakenham team is doing a lot of work on site to set up the same sort of reporting structure, which is working. So the lesson has been shared.
yeah, and last question from me on that is, how long have you seen eventually a positive trend? Was it immediate, or did it take a little bit of time to?
I think it would have been close to immediate. I mean, when you're seeing 2 to 3 incidents occur every month, you can see it fairly quickly. I know when we done the 12-month review, we had halved the incidents within 12 months, which was quite remarkable.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. And I suppose by doing that, you got all the employees buy-in, and now it's part of their normal behavior,
Yeah, exactly.
I would say, right? It's like a habit.
Yeah.
Quite often at Downer, we are criticised for not rewarding or recognising people often enough. What do you do in your line of business to make sure that people are recognised well?
So we've got a reward and recognition scheme that's set up where we've got a document in which employees can fill out, or a scan code that they can scan into, put their idea forward, which gets reviewed weekly by the management team in our management meeting. And it's not just for safety, it's for process improvements and a whole raft of things. Basically, what is assessed is whether the improvement is going to actually benefit us, whether we want to go forward with it. Once we do that, we will engage the employee either way and have a chat to them why it's going ahead or why it isn't. If it is going ahead, we'll usually empower them to be able to drive the initiative with us and implement it. And then they get a gift card at the monthly town hall meeting.
Oh, lovely. And then just in terms of standing for each other, what does that mean to you, and how do you embody that every day in your work?
I mean, for me, standing for each other is really, from a safety aspect, is making sure that we're all working to basically the same standard, speaking up, backing your fellow employees and teammates when they are raising issues and supporting them. And even performance-wise, if someone is struggling for each other, it's good to see within Downer the amount of support that is available for people to help people with specific and certain issues.
And how do you make sure that your team stays motivated and practices the Downer culture?
Yeah, so we've got a fairly robust meeting structure set up on site with a level 3, level 2 and level 1 meeting with the management team. So we're together several times a day and really rewarding the type of behaviours that we're after and recognising that, I think, is the main thing.
So Jarred, who has been your most influential mentor, and what key lesson have you learned from them?
Sure, so I hope I don't embarrass this person, but I've been working for Downer for 16 or 17 years
It's been
now.
a long time.
So initially I'd started off as a trade and eventually got moved into a management position. At the time, I wasn't sure myself whether I was going to be up to it. However, my manager at the time was Stephen Furlong, who is still with the business, and really the support that he provided me, not just through that, but through my career, has been immense. I think what I was taught from Steve, which I still use today, is sort of put systems in place where people are pushing information to you rather than putting systems in place where you're having to chase up individuals. Time management, I don't know, for a lot of new managers, but at the start is a real challenge, I find. That you get stuck in the weeds so often that you're not looking at the bigger picture. So Steve's been very helpful, giving me advice to be able to step back and I suppose delegate and get the right information from my people and be able to hold them to account through really reporting structures. Yeah.
And are you mentoring anyone at the moment?
No, I'm not at
Soon.
the moment.
You're
Soon,
available.
maybe. Yeah.
So what was your trade?
Electrician.
Oh, very nice. If you weren't in your current role, Is there another occupation or field you'd be interested in exploring?
I really do enjoy cooking, but I suppose once that becomes your occupation, it's probably a bit different to a hobby. But that is definitely something that I think I would enjoy.
And what accomplishment are you most proud of over the last 12 months?
Yeah, so the Rolling Stock Additional Work project has been quite a challenging project, especially over the last 12 months with Jarred Trams really transitioning into a new franchisee. And
we need to make sure that the transition is going well, right? Because for the communities and for the users.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been particularly difficult because the uncertainty for the team on site and what it's going to look like after the transition. I think what I'm most proud of is the team that we've got on site really sticking it out the whole way through. So we've had employees that have been there since day one, that have stuck out the whole way through. So we've had that real continuation of business from start to end, and
they would have an amazing experience as well, and knowledge and understanding.
Yeah. So they've stuck with us through really thick and thin, all the way through till now this new contract.
And I guess all of that is also thanks to the culture. So what does the Downer difference mean to you?
For me, it is really the Downer way of working. It's how we do things, how we implement change, how we engage with our customers, our employees, really from start to finish, from projects to the way that we do work. I really do see Downer employees really focused on standing for each other, working well in teams, having each other's backs, really supporting one another. And I think that is a huge advantage that Downer has got.
For the other listeners, especially your fellow contract manager or project directors, would you have a message for them?
The project I've been on has been quite challenging. So my DGL for the project has been extremely supportive over the last 12 months.
Sorry, for those who don't know, what is DGL?
DGL is Delivery Governance Leadership Group. So they are really, I see them as as my support for decision making and additional resource and whatnot throughout the project lifecycle. I mean, for my team, my message would be that regardless of what's happened over the last 12 months, we've got work to get on with. So as best as you can, put it behind you, and I'm sure this year will be a lot smoother than the previous 12 months.
Now, we've been asking everybody to nominate a book and tell us about why they've nominated that particular book.
Yeah, sure. So I had a bit of a think about this. So the book I'm nominating is Surrounded by Idiots. So
okay.
I found this particularly useful. Especially, so for those of you that don't know, this is about the 4 key personality traits, and it really goes through how to effectively communicate with those, and I suppose how you're being perceived to certain personality traits. I did really struggle early on in my career trying to implement change and just not understanding why people were behaving the way they were, and I suppose after reading it and even doing some training on the topic, it becomes quite clear why they are acting the way they are. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. I just perceive it as, I was perceiving it as wrong just because it's different to me. But yeah, I found that particularly useful, especially in a people management space.
So you've adjusted your style then to communicate to different people?
Yes, definitely. Especially when you're able to identify what personality traits are within your team. It definitely allows me to, I suppose, find who I need to spend a little more time with, explaining things a little more thoroughly, and which people I can sort of explain something to and they'll just run off and sort of get on with it.
Oh, that's good advice.
And we also talked about a song, but it seems you've taken a slightly different approach here.
Yeah, I couldn't really think of a song, so mainly when I'm traveling or on my own, I'm listening to sports podcasts. I'm fairly big on my sports. I find that sort of as a way to switch off and relax, both watching and listening to sports. I'm an AFL supporter for the Western Bulldogs, so I'm usually listening to AFL podcasts during the AFL season, and then in the off season I tend to follow the NFL, the American Football League, and we'll usually listen to podcasts on that to sort of hear like-minded people complaining about your own sports team, I suppose.
Great. Well, maybe I'll start with that because I have no understanding of the AFL at all.
We're going to take you to a game now, Helen.
Sure. I'd love to. We've been asking everyone, what would be the title of that podcast?
Your episode,
Your
Jarred.
episode.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. It might be self-titled.
Surrounded by idiots, is that?
Yeah, that could be one.
Not sure what people will understand, but that's okay.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to The Down a Difference on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and be sure to share it with your colleagues.